made millions, you've lost
Millions. Making millions is one thing. Keeping millions is another thing. You're never as good as your peaks and you're never as bad as your valleys. You got to just be able to maintain that cool and steadiness throughout whatever's happening. From 20 to 25, I was just a baseball player. About 25, I realized it's probably not going to happen. I get married, I get into real estate investing, I start flipping houses, and I flipped hundreds of homes, and I became a millionaire. My wife and I were like, literally, we are really rich. The business fuels what I want. And what I want at this point in my life is to hang out with my family and kids, talk about my faith and go serve people, to go play a lot of golf. I might be known for golf in the next 5 years. I do education, I do podcasting, social media, I start a real estate brokerage, a tax firm. Everything I touch turned to gold.
What's the best business move you've ever made?
Social media. I've achieved essentially all my goals in content. It made money, I met people, I can get in rooms. I got 1 billion views online. What else is there?
You pulled your kids out of public school.
Yeah.
Why did you pull your kids out of public school? How much have you invested in coaches and mentors?
If I'm gonna do something, I wanna reach the potential of whatever it is.
What does it mean to you to not waste your potential?
I think it's a biblical principle to maximize what you've been given. I'll never retire. It's not biblical. There's nobody that retired in the Bible.
Does God want you to be broke? You've made millions. I've heard you say you've lost some money.
Yeah, millions.
You've been criticized online. You've been praised online. And what I've seen recently is you've come out the other side calmer, stronger, more grounded.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that people don't understand about success and running businesses that you've learned over your years?
Yeah, I think early on in my career, everything I touched turned to gold. And so you don't really learn a lot of lessons when you're successful. You think you do because you are doing things that work. But it's only when things stop working that you start to realize what actually works. Making millions is one thing. Keeping millions is another thing. And, keeping it has to do with a lot of things. Not losing it in things that don't work. Taxes, lifestyle, all those things. Keeping millions is the hard part. And so I've learned a lot of lessons along the way. And I would say, yeah, definitely much more calm and I think objective would be the right word now that I've seen both sides. On one hand, it's so easy to tell people what to do when everything you're doing is right and works. And then you feel like a complete loser on the other side when everything you're doing is not working and failing. And so it gives you this sense of objectiveness. And so I think you're never as good as your peaks and you're never as bad as your valleys. You got to just be able to maintain that, cool and steadiness throughout whatever's happening.
And so you had created some public posts about you hitting some hard times or running into issues with your business. What exactly happened? Because you've been open about sharing, which I think is really useful for people.
Yeah.
Right. And so what happened when you hit that wall, or what was it that you learned from that?
Well, I think I just ran into multiple things at once. And I actually shared this with our company last year. It's interesting because I started out as a baseball player and all I ever want to do is play baseball, right? And so I do that for a really long time. And it actually doesn't end up working out. I don't make it to the big leagues. I spent 8 years pursuing this dream, making $6,000 a year. And it's it didn't work. And a lot of people would consider that a failure, right? Because you didn't actually, in the grand scheme of things, produce what you were hoping to produce, or, you spend many years at it. But, I looked at it as a success. I did more than most, right? And, I get into real estate, never wanted to do real estate. I just happened to be good at it. And it, does really well for a long time. Then I start other businesses and they do really well. I do education, I do podcasting, social media. I start a real estate brokerage, a tax firm. And literally every single one of them just crushes. Then I start trying every other business because you start to believe your hype. You're like, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try that. And so, I try an e-commerce thing. I do NFTs. I do social media coaching. I do an agency. I do, what else? I can't even remember all the things I've done. I've got a golf business right now. And so I've done so many things and I had a lot of them go wrong at once. E-commerce didn't work out. NFTs worked until they didn't for everyone. The real estate market, which had been my bread and butter forever, crashes when rates double and triple. And so I lose money on all these flips. The education market starts to soften. This all literally happened within a year and a half. And it's like most people who had one business in that industry failed. I know a lot of house flippers who, when things turned, they're out, right? You know them too. You're shaking your head, right? Most guys who had crypto and stuff, they're out. The e-commerce thing, they're out. A lot of coaches and educators, when things got soft, they're out. And so I kind of looked at it, having made it through the other side, and I was like, wow, like clearly that was not me, like being able to do that on my own will to survive 4 different problems, let alone one, because most people can't survive one. And so I just realized, like, man, I'm just so grateful to have figured out how to get through it. And by no means was anything perfect, or it wasn't hard or any of those things. But like, I just wanted people to know like the truth. And I'm like, look, here's mistakes I made. Here's things how I got through it. Here's good things I did along the way. And it's like, now you come out the other side. And like you said, there'll be people who always criticize you for your past mistakes. There will be people who love you for your best things. And the truth is somewhere in between. Like we're all flawed people who are trying to figure it out.
And so what's something that you really learned from that season of difficulty, right? I heard you say, well, I started, 10 businesses basically.
Yeah. What's ironic in hindsight is, the most money I ever made was when I had lots of things going on. The last couple of years, I tried to only focus on real estate, because before I was just like an opportunist. I'll be like, let me try this and try this and try this. And, if they work, great. If they don't, then we'll just move on. And that's what I did. And then, when they don't work, you're like, oh crap, maybe I should stick to what I know. And so for a couple of years, all I did was focus on real estate. And I found, and even me focusing on real estate, still like multiple things within real estate, right? But what I found was it was unfulfilling. I'm just too creative to just do one thing over and over again. I found that I made less money. I also found that my current business structure doesn't even work for it. And the reason it doesn't work for it is because, I got this big parent company and all this stuff and really talented people, and I don't need all that to run one business, right? Now I need it when I'm running lots of things. And so I'm like built for a different type of business because that's what we were. And, it actually took starting my golf business, M19, about 5 months ago to see like, oh snap, like we're at our best when we're experimenting, trying new things and having fun in the process. And, that ended up being so successful, and it branched off multiple other things that I'm now doing that are also now really successful. And a lot of people, they're behind the scenes. People don't even know they're happening. And now, like, as we go into 26, I'm like, okay, I'm launching like at least 5 new things. Some I'll be the face of, some people have no idea I'm involved with, because I enjoy it. It's what we're built for. And I don't want to do just one thing. And that's the biggest thing I learned is like, everyone's different, dude. Some people would go crazy running multiple things. They will fail, and they should not do that. And a lot of people, the advice you see on social media is just do one thing, go deeper on one thing. And it's like, it's true, especially if you're just starting out, you have no success. You have to like master one thing when you're not successful. But if you've had a level of success, some people are really good at doing different things.
With you, looking back from playing baseball to when you first started to now, like, who did you have to become along the way? What were the things and the transformations that you made? And I'm sure it was more than one, but who did you have to become along the way?
Dude, this is a great question. And I agree. Podcasting, I've been doing it now for 5 years. One of the smartest decisions I ever made. Gotten to be with Gary Vee and all these guys, and like didn't have to pay anything to do it. It's crazy. And now many of them are friends. Mm-hmm. But if I don't have a following and I'm a good business guy, we're never friends. It's crazy. But yeah, I think my life has evolved in many different ways. It's funny. I was thinking about this morning, but my life has really been chunks of 5 years. So from 20 to 25, I was just a baseball player. That was it. I had no businesses really, just focused solely on becoming a big leaguer. About 25, I realized it's probably not going to happen. I ended up playing a couple more years, but like around 25, I get married. I'm I'm like, okay, I got to provide. I got to figure this out. So I get into real estate investing. I start flipping houses. And so from about 26 to 30, I'm literally just a house flipper. That's it. I'm not on social media. I'm not starting lots of businesses. I was just honing my craft as a house flipper. And I flipped hundreds of homes and like I became a millionaire and like got really good at it. Then COVID hits, in 2020, I'm 30, 31 years old. And I go, dude, I think this social media thing's like probably pretty important. And sure enough, I start making TikToks, I start making YouTubes and everything else, and it just explodes. And I would say, from 31, 35, 30 to 35, I'm really like, I don't even know what you call it, a content creator, an influencer, whatever, right? And yeah, I run lots of businesses. I'm just, now funneling people to all these different businesses like we talked about from social media. But if I was to be like, hey, what was my main focus those years? It was being a great content creator because that was always the top of funnel for everything else. And so, I had to change my identity there. And I've been thinking, because I'm 36 now, and I'm like, I do shift. I sense a shift in myself not caring as much about content. Like, I feel like I reached my goal of becoming known and get access to the people that you're talking. Like, I've achieved essentially all my goals in content. It made money. I met people. I can get in rooms. Like, what else is there? Yeah, I could go get I got 1 billion views online. Like, what else is there? You can get more, but I felt like I accomplished it. So I've been thinking, like, what does 36 to 40 look like? Like, what is going to be my thing? And I don't have like an agenda. It's just, I'm wondering what it's going to be because I think my paths can go in lots of different ways at this point. At first I thought, well, maybe, as I've become more open about my faith, maybe it's going to be in that realm, in the Christian space. Or maybe that's going to be later, right? I don't know, right? Or maybe it's just an always thing, but it's just going no matter whatever else I'm doing. Then I thought, well, maybe it's going to be exiting a business and, getting that big exit and focusing on that, right? Maybe, I wouldn't have thought this until recently, maybe it's going to be known for golf. That's not out of the realm of possibility that I might be known for golf in the next 5 years and building a big golf brand and exiting and doing things in the golf world. Like, I don't know, right? And then I also thought about this year in 26, one of our strategies is that I'm going to be doing a lot more political content. And so I've been talking a lot more politics and everything, because that's been the last thing that I haven't talked about yet. Like, I came into this talking about business. I've always incorporated my faith, my family. The only piece that I haven't really discussed is politics. And it's not that I've ever been scared. It's just like, it never really, I don't know. I just didn't really care. But I think since the Charlie Kirk thing, I've kind of like started to care a lot more. And I've been talking about it anyways. And so now like I'm going to start talking a lot more about politics. And so maybe that's a thing. Like, I don't know what the next 5 years look like, but that is the evolution of like, my life is constantly changing and evolving based on, I guess, what God's calling me to do at that time.
So what shifted with Charlie Kirk then?
I saw a guy who is very much like me. I mean, I saw a Christian dude who's in the public eye, who's saying things that are truth, and he was killed for it. And he's got young kids, a wife, all this stuff. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like, I personally relate to that because I have said things about people and spoken up about false religions or woke bullcrap or whatever. Like, I'll talk about it. I don't talk about it as much as him. I don't make a living debating people and, all the stuff, but like, I've talked about it. And I've got 4 kids. I've got a wife of 12 years and I've got businesses and I'm in the public eye. Like, all it takes is one crazy person to change everything. I was like, dude, that really is crazy. That this guy just disagreed with his opinion and killed him. And it made me start to really think. And then the bigger problem I saw was not just that, but I saw the reaction from those who didn't like him. And it was just so terrible. I mean, to see people celebrating, to see people just saying all the things they said about him and his wife and all this stuff. And I'm just like, dude, this is like insane. And so it really like made me mad and convicted of like, okay, speaking the truth is really important. Like if you have influence, speaking the truth is really important. Like it used to be, if I'm being honest, getting influence and social media and stuff was a way to market for my business. That was the core reason I started social media. I'm like, I think this is a great marketing tool. I think it's going to lead to lots of opportunities. I think it's going to be great for business. And it has been. But then now I'm like, okay, if you have influence and thousands of people are going to watch and listen to what you say matters. And so how do you actually make impact in people's lives beyond what you can sell them? You know, it's like, well, first off, salvation, number one, faith matters more than anything. Okay. And then what about these other issues? Well, man, we live in such a controversial world now. It's like, you got to be able to defend what you believe.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
I don't normally ask about politics. Charlie was shot a while ago now, a few months. And his wife, Erica, has gone on this tour, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about, like, what are your thoughts on watching that?
You know, it's interesting, right? Because I watch both sides and I see like all the criticism she gets. I see Candace Owens going nuts. I see freaking, you know, everybody like thinking she's an Israel puppet. Like, dude, like I've seen every negative thing you could see. And then I'm like, okay, so like, what are the positives of this? And it's like, well, number one, she's stepping up to just lead this organization that was void of a leader and a face and everything else. And clearly she's a go-getter, you know, like she's not your typical just, let's just say stay-at-home mom who's just like not able to do this. Like she's clearly able and she's doing it. And, you know, I didn't know much about her until, you know, after all this, but like clearly she was a career woman. She's like, was doing things like this all the time before she met Charlie. And so it's like not surprising in that sense. It's like, okay, like she is wired different. Now, like, should she be grieving? Should she not? She just be out of the limelight saying nothing? Like, once again, I don't think it's anyone's like choice to decide how she's supposed to do whatever. Like, I've thought about this before. I'm like, look, if something catastrophic happened to me or to my wife or, you know, anything, I'm like, at least for me anyways, I would be like a guy who's quick to solve problems. That's who I am, you know? So if something bad happens, I'm like, how do we solve this as fast as possible? How do we move on from this and like, you know, whatever else? And I think the typical worldview of things is like, they don't move on. You know, people, when they have something happen in their life, a loss or whatever, it's like years of mourning and everything else. And it's like, I'm not wired like that. I'm like, dude, like, I'll reflect on stuff and like, it's great. I'm like, how do we move forward? Because this has happened and we can't change that. How do we move forward?
Whether you agree with it or not, and let's say like, well, I mean, we can say, you know, she's not involved or whatever, but
yeah,
I think this gets back to some questions that I'm asking about too, related to men and society and belief and purpose. I don't think a lot of people have ever believed in anything so much that they're willing to go to the lengths for that purpose, right? Because let's say she has got no involvement. She it was the guy, whoever he was on the shooter on the roof, whatever. She went to TPUSA and was like, I'm gonna lead this because this is so important. And I think it's really hard for people that don't have a purpose or have never believed anything strong enough to understand the conviction that it takes to go do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, she forgave the guy. People are criticizing her for saying it's fake. I'm like, you can't even like, even if you're the one criticizing, do you think you could go in front of millions of people and publicly forgive the person who killed your spouse? No.
Yeah.
99.9% of people do not have that capability. 99.9% of people can't even speak in front of two people, let alone a million. Like it's just, so anyways, yeah, I mean, most of the people criticizing others in the world are just not doing anything themselves and therefore their opinion is invalidated. And so you just kind of got to ignore losers. I mean, that's just what it comes down to.
And so how do you make that decision to like invest the money or go all in or, go and do 5 things?
It's a good question because right now I'm evaluating lots of different opportunities. I'll give you an example. I'm looking at launching this collectible toy brand. Totally nothing to do with anything I currently do, right? And I really feel passionate about it. I'm actually looking at it as a way to fund our nonprofit with tent makers. Actually, I'll just say partly what it is. Like it would be this collectible Christian toy brand. Mm-hmm. And the reason that I'm thinking of doing it is because there just are no good ones. Literally, it doesn't exist. Like there's all these Labubus, there's these Funko Pops, there's all these different things for all the other things of the world, but there's literally no good Christian collectibles. I'm like, this is clearly a massive opportunity. Now, what should I do with this opportunity? It's like, all right, well, the reason I'm even thinking about it is because I'm looking for ways to fund our nonprofit. So what if this funds the nonprofit? The success of this business does that. And so it's like, okay, let's do that. And then, I'm looking at the startup cost. And unlike a lot of the other businesses where it's like a digital product, so the startup cost is very minimal, this is like, no, hundreds and hundreds of thousands because we need molds, we need inventory, we need manufacturing. There's a lot that we need. And so I'm like, okay, do I want to pursue this opportunity right this second? Because I got other things that we're currently working on. We're doing stuff with insurance. I just bought a title company. And so, where does the priorities lie in all these different ideas? And just to discern right now, the title company is easily like the number one priority of all those because it's so easy to do for us anyways. It's like, I have thousands of students. If they just use the title company, it'll crush. Nothing else really needs to be done. It's a commodity. And even if I just put my own business in it, it will already be profitable and make money. So I kind of look at it like lowest hanging fruit sometimes.
And so with the product-based business though, you are investing money up front. Like, yeah. Are these conversations that you have with your wife, or is this strictly like the business is its own container and these are not relationship conversations?
What's interesting is we used to not really talk about them too much. She just was like, dude, do whatever you want. And because like I said, everything I touched turned to gold. She's like, oh, you got a new idea? Great. This is going to be great for everyone. And then when ideas don't go great, that's when we started talking about them because, like I said, going through that hard time also impacts your marriage. Financial difficulty is like the number one cause of divorce. And by no means were we ever close to divorce or anything like that. But we were definitely going through a more difficult time than we ever had before because of everything that was happening. And so now we do talk about it. And, I told her about the Christian idea. She's like, this is amazing, because she's passionate about the nonprofit. Then I tell her the title company idea and she's like, okay, whatever, the golf idea was actually her idea. And so now she can't be mad that I go and travel the world and golf because it was her idea.
Yeah.
It's funny, this year, well, I guess last year, 25, we, I've been golfing and doing random things in golf. So it's not like it's new, but I was just talking to her at dinner. I was like, how do I get around higher level people? Like I want higher level clients and people because right now, we help a lot of people who are usually just starting their business and I love it. But I would also like to have both. I would like to have the end where we're helping the new entrepreneur or the new real estate investor, but also the established 7, 8, 9-figure person. And I go, how would I attract that person? Because they sometimes come to our events and everything else, but that person's busy. They're hard to really attract. And she goes, don't you meet a lot of those people when you play golf? And I was like, yeah, that's usually where the highest, richest people I know are. She's like, why don't you just do that more? And I, from a business perspective, I was like, what am I going to run ads for people to come golf with me? And how many trips could we even do? And even if we did a trip, it's it's not going to be that profitable to be worth it. But then I was like, you know what? Let me think about a model that would work, like a membership model and everything else. And I came up with the idea of a scalable membership model that wasn't dependent on, how many people could go to an event. And we launched it and it just murdered. It just fastest growing business tonight or 7 figures. And it's crazy.
It seems like you're really fulfilled by it too.
Yeah. Dude, what else would you want? You get to hang out with high level people in golf and make a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you want?
I asked myself a similar question with the podcast too. So I had a big run this last year. I went all in. I'm like, I'm not looking back. I'm doing everything I can. And then just last week, I was like, okay, what do I need to do? Who do I need to become to attract Gary V or these other people, right? Like, because it's having a podcast is a hack. And like, I deserve to be in rooms with people like you and all these other people. And I feel like I can add a ton of value and give back. And so how do I do that? I need to become essentially a different person or do different things.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you said one time, or you probably said it more than one time, but you said that most men aren't mentally, emotionally, physically, or spiritually ready to run a large business.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
My friend Darius Daniels, he's a pastor. He was on my show and he's spoken at my events before. And he calls it the backside of a blessing. And so it's like, man, I want this, I want that. And it's like, okay, cool, you got it. Now you get what also comes with it. That's called the backside of it. And it's like, oh, you want to be on social media? Guess what? Cool, you're famous. Okay, what's the backside of that? You got haters, you lose your privacy, you got to come up with creating content, you got to pay a team. There's all these things that come with it. And so be prepared. Hey, I want a big business. I want to make millions of dollars. Okay, you want a big business? Guess what? You got to hire employees, you got overhead, you got staff. If the business doesn't make money, you still got to cover it and keep moving. You make no money. You're liable for all the lawsuits, the losses, because you're the front, you're the face, you're the owner. It's not your employees, it's you. It's like, oh man, I don't know if I want all that. And that's just the reality of it, is like people want all of these things, but they don't want to pay the price. And it's like, there's not only a price to get there, but there's a price to stay there. And, the price in a lot of people's minds is just work and effort. And it's like, sure, there's work and effort. And a lot of people think the price is solely like 60 to 80 hour work weeks. I don't think that that's true. I haven't had to do it. But the emotional price, the spiritual price, the health price, I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs I've seen with bad health, like over and over again, even perfectly fit guys. Like, how are you in the hospital with a heart problem? Because their stress levels, their everything is so through the roof, right? But yeah, can you emotionally deal with what happens every day running a big business? If you can't, well, then you probably shouldn't do it. You shouldn't complain that you don't have it because it's not for everyone.
What do they really want, do you think? Do you think they really want a big business and $100 million company, or is it something else?
I think people just value like things they don't have. It's like, oh, dude, I want more money. He looks like his life is great. I want what he has. Oh, I want a big business. That will validate me. That will make, people respect me. I posted on Instagram the other day, I don't like the underdog mentality. So the underdog mentality is that nobody believes in me. I'm the underdog. I'm slighted. I'm always going to grind and like come out on top, right? And it's like, great, you can have that mentality, but dude, it just means that you're never going to be fulfilled because you're always slighted. You're always the underdog.
Victim.
Yeah, you're a victim. And it's like nobody believes in you or trusts you or whatever, right? No matter how much success you have, you'll never be happy. That's kind of like people live with that mentality. And, a lot of people have grown up that way. So it's like they developed this mentality without realizing it. Maybe they're trying to impress people when they were a young age. Maybe they didn't have their father around, or they could never make their parents happy or whatever, right? So they're just always in this mentality of, I got to prove it. I got to make people believe. But I can tell you, like for me, and I'm grateful because I did nothing to earn this. My dad and my mom, they're still together. They raised me without that mentality. Like my dad was never like, bro, no one believes in you. Like my dad's like, bro, you're the best. We love you. You're great. Even if it doesn't work out, things are going to be good. You got Jesus. Like that's how I was raised. And that's literally what I grew up believing. Like I grew up that, hey, even if it fails, I'm going to be all right. That's always my mindset. And then even as I had success, then it started to be not this underdog mentality. It was like, no, I'm the top dog. Like everybody's got to come and deal with me in this situation. Back then it was in sports, but even today in business and life, it's like, I don't come into anything thinking I'm the underdog. Like I walk in like, yeah, like, so not that everyone's here for me or anything, but I'm just like, if I walk in a room with Gary Vee or whoever else, these guys are clearly better than me at business and everything else. But I don't walk around like, one day I'm gonna be like, Gary Vee, one day, they'll respect me. I'm like, these guys are my peers right now, today. Like, they're just peers.
You have self-worth.
Yeah.
You have self-worth. And that came from how you were raised.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I saw that post. I was going to ask you about it. I saw that post. Yeah, no, because this last year, the story of me doing this podcast is, it's not really an underdog story, but it's like, quitting corporate and going all in, that sort of thing.
I love it.
Yeah. But I was like, I saw that post and I was going through like, what do I have to be like, to attract Gary Vee? And I was like, there needs to be a shift. I can't always be like that sort of thing. It's not that I'm like, oh, I made it. It's not that, but it's like, okay, there's a next level of like seriousness. I can still be playful and stuff, but like there's a next level of like taking this seriously and making money and going all in. And like, it can't just be this fun, flighty thing that I'm doing, right?
I think it's just, self-worth is a good word. I think back to multiple times in my life where I was clearly like not as good as this person. And I remember the first time it kind of happened in business was I had just started flipping houses. I had flipped like 20 houses my second year, which in my mind, I'm like, bro, I'm a G. Like I have flipped more houses than almost most people in their life, right? So like my self-worth is like very high for flipping 20 houses. I made $200,000. My wife, or I bought 20 houses that year. I don't know how many we sold, but we made $200,000. And it was the most money I ever made in my life. I thought I was rich and balling. My wife and I felt the same way. And what a lot of people get is like comparison syndrome, right? They meet somebody who's doing it better. And so they're like, crap, dude, I thought I was doing good until I met this guy. And I remember I met a flipper in Vegas and he had done like 100. And he came in and he had kind of an arrogant attitude. And, he's just like talking about how good he is and all this stuff. And I'm just asking him about the business. And I don't know, in my mind, I think humble, but probably my mannerisms and everything else are not. I'm probably like thinking I'm top dog. And, I just remember him saying like, I told him my plans. I was like, I did 20 last year. I did 5 the year before. I'm going to do probably 50 this year. He's like 50, like, and I could have taken it as a slight because he was like, okay, dude, whatever. Because that's really what the attitude was. But I was like, no, I'm going to do 50. Like it's pretty basic math. Like we did 20. I was playing baseball, not even really trying. Like 50 is pretty simple. And, some people take that as arrogance. To me, it's just like, no, this is just literally what we're going to do. And I did. And then the next year I did 150. And even then I set the goal and I said, I'm going to do this. And, it's the same thing. Like I'm like, I'm going to start, like I just said it. Hey, I'm going to start this Christian collectibles company. I'm going to start this golf company. I'm going to do this title company. Like to some that might seem like this guy's just full of crap or whatever. I'm like, no, these are just like, I am going to do these things. And
where does that come from?
I just am going to do them. Like, I don't know. To me, it's not confidence. It's just like, I'm going to do them. Now, how successful they are in the long, like, I don't know. And I'm okay with either outcome. I'm not over here like, so, and this is where a lot of people screw up. I'm not over here like, dude, I'm going to build this collectibles company that's like worth $100 million. Like that part I don't like. I just say things I know that are going to happen. Like I'm going to start it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it's just, it's going to happen. So I don't know that it's comes from anywhere. Like I just know it's going to happen.
So what do you say to the people that can't even figure out how to flip one house, or they stick or like sit on their idea for years and they never get started, or they're trying 100 things, but they're not like really trying? Like I see that out there all the time.
Yeah.
Like, what do you say to those people?
I don't know. Like they're just saying things that they either don't believe or they're trying to like manifest it into the world or what. Like, once again, I don't manifest anything. Like if I say I'm going to do something, like I haven't said I'm going to do this Christian collectibles thing anywhere online because I've been messing with it for like the last bunch of months, just debating whether or not I'm going to do it, whether it's worthwhile and the cost and the timing and all this stuff. And I'm now confident enough after all this preparation and research to say, this is going to happen. Now, is it going to be the first thing I do? No, the title company is, but it is definitely going to happen. And so I think it comes from preparation. of just knowing what the outcome's going to be. Like when I had flipped 20 houses, I had a proven system at that point of what got me 20. And I knew that by doing just more of the system, like I was going to do double. Like it just was. It was like social media too. Like last year on social media, we had our worst year in terms of like watch time on YouTube and everything else. We had like this downward trend. It would be easy to be like, dude, like, I don't know what's going to happen next year. Like, how are we going to fix this? To me, it was very simple. I just looked at the math and I looked at the data and I said, this year we posted half the amount of videos than we did at our peak. You want to know what our watch time was? Half. This isn't rocket science, boys. Post twice as much. Like this isn't, I'm pretty certain we're going to get back to where we were.
Yeah.
If we just post twice as much. I know I'm willing to film the videos. So I just need you guys to edit it. Like there's a very straightforward path to getting there. So yeah, I think once you figure something out, it's like things are pretty straightforward for the most part. It doesn't mean there's not bumps along the way and figuring out details of it, but the big picture of it is pretty straightforward. And so I think most people that fail, they don't have a plan. They have no preparation. They just have ambition. Ambition gets you nowhere. Like it's good fuel. Like, dude, I want to be successful. I want to be this. I'll be like, I don't care what you want to be. Tell me what you're doing right now. You know, I make fun of my friends who are bad golfers. You know, they play with me all the time. And I'm just like, why do I keep playing with you guys? You guys are lucky you're fun. But they're like, yeah, dude, like I'm going to get better at golf this year and blah, blah, blah. I go, so what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to play more. I'm like, no, that will not work. You suck. Like you continuing to do bad things, playing more will not help you. Like if you want to actually get better, you get a coach. It's the practice in between playing. You're going to have to practice 3-4 times a week, work on your skills, work on the swing, and then you'll play. And guess what? You'll play better and you'll get better scores and everything else. But if you're telling me your current plan is just, it will change because I'm going to just play more, it won't.
That's right. If I want to build muscle, right, and I'm on this journey of like growing and building to a certain point, do you think I can just say that I'm going to do it? Even if I just go to the gym, I'm going to go to the gym every day.
It ain't going to work.
No, right? Or do I get a coach? Do I eat the right macros? Do I have a hypertrophy plan? Am I measuring everything? Am I sending check-ins with my coach? Whenever I travel, I have meal prep. Like, who do I need to become to be a bodybuilder? Or who do I need to become to be a pro golfer or whatever it is?
Yeah.
What do the pros do? And then go do that. It's not enough to just say it out into the ether.
Yeah, like I had said one thing. I said, hey, I want to be the best YouTube golfer, like in terms of skill. Now, I said it with a caveat. I said, look, anybody who was a pro does not count.
Yeah.
Okay, because they're clearly, I'm not going to beat Bryson. I'm not going to beat, any of these guys who've been professionals before and now they're just being YouTubers for fun. I want to be like the best amateur YouTuber who's never been pro. Like, that's my goal. And like, I know who some of the top guys are and different things, and I know how good they are. And by no means is it an easy goal. And I said, for me to achieve that, what must change about where I'm currently at to where I got to be? And it first starts with coaching and practice and playing more and all those things matter. But the very first thing I did was I hired the best coach in Las Vegas. And he coaches PGA Tour guys. He's one of the top he's literally named the top coach in Las Vegas. And it's not cheap. I'm going to spend tens of thousands a year to get good. And in the end, do I have to do that? No. Like, it's probably not going to change my business or my life or anything else, but I want to challenge myself. Like, if I'm going to do this golf thing, I want to be the best I could possibly be. I want to reach my potential. I don't want to just do it for fun. Like, my mind doesn't operate like that. Like, if I'm going to do something, I want to reach the potential of whatever it is. And when I'm out of answers, I'll have known I gave it my all. Because that's how it was in baseball. I mean, I went 8 years, dude. I didn't make it. I did not, I exhausted every possible thing you could try, and I was not good enough. And I can go to sleep every night knowing I gave it my all. I wasn't like some of these guys who had all the natural talent in the world, but they partied, they're chasing girls, they're doing all this crap, and they just were a waste of potential. There's a lot of people who are a waste of potential right now.
What does it mean to you to not waste your potential?
I think it's a biblical principle. There's a parable that Jesus tells called the parable of the talents, where essentially the parable is this, like God gave each of us talent. And in the parable, it's talking about money, but you can also talk about just your resources, the natural abilities that you have, everything, right? And clearly he's like, I gave some people more talent than others. But God is pleased when somebody utilizes the talent to the best of their ability. So he's like, man, this guy gave a lot of talent. He doubled what I gave him. Awesome. This guy gave a little bit less. He doubled what he had. Even though it was less, he doubled what he had. Like, that's amazing. And then there are people who are given even smaller talent or even bigger talent, and they do nothing with it. They don't double it. They don't maximize it. He's displeased. And so I think it's a biblical principle to maximize what you've been given. If you don't, in my mind, it's disobedience and it's bad stewardship. You know, because people ask me that too. They're like, so when's enough enough? You know, when are you going to quit? When are you going to retire? When, you know, whatever, right? I'm like, first off, I have not made anything close to what I need to make to retire the way I would retire if I was going to. But number two, I'll never retire. It's not biblical. There's nobody that retired in the Bible. Idleness is actually what leads to most of the problems in your life. It leads to sin. It leads to, you know, temptations. It leads to all these things. Idleness is bad. So I'll never retire from that standpoint. I'll do different things. I may coach. I may, you know, be with my kids and, you know, whatever, right? That could change. But like, I'll never retire. But I just think you have to maximize your potential. I think it's like your obligation, especially if you're a Christian. And I think the ultimate regret that people have in life is when they don't. You know, I don't think anyone regrets when they tried it all and they did everything they could and they couldn't come out on top. Like, people are like, dude, I gave it my all, man. Like, it sucks. It didn't work out, but I know I did everything I could. And then you take the other person's like, yeah, dude, I like kind of screwed around. Like, I did not do what I was supposed to do.
If they even can admit that.
Yeah, most of them probably can't admit it.
Because what I've seen is a lot of people have never seen what full potential looks like. I've never seen an example of what going all out, not stopping, finding every avenue, picking up the phone, late nights, whatever that looks like. And it doesn't even have to be the effort or the work or the long hours, but like, I don't think people have an example of what 100% or maximize your potential looks like.
Yeah. I mean, theoretically, right, you would never know what your potential is because there's more in the tank, right? Ed Milet, who's a buddy of mine, would, once again, crazy that these guys are friends just because of a podcast.
Yeah.
But he's spoken at a few of my events and he talks about it. He's like, man, you know, one day when I die, I want to be in heaven and God shows me, you know, the guy that was like my maximum potential, and that, you know, the guy I am when I get to heaven is like the same guy, you know, and he does it in a much better way than I just did.
It's pretty great. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's the right idea, right? Because the worst thing would be you meet this guy who's like so far above beyond who you are, and you're just like, dang, dude, like that's what it could have been.
Yeah. That's essentially what I thought about, is like, I know there's more. I know I'm wasting. I was in this mode of like, everything felt too hard, you know, and I just didn't know what to do. I didn't have examples. And I ended up having to deciding to invest in coaches and mentorships. And that took everything off. That skyrocketed everything because it opened up a new door of like possibilities. Coming from the corporate world.
Yeah. How long did you quit the corporate world?
Well, I was still consulting. And so it was 11 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when did you like start the business side of things, buying real estate?
Yeah, buying real estate was in that time. It was basically, I had quit my actual corporate job for like 2.5 years, 3 years I consulted. And in that time just went ham on Airbnbs and then buying hotels and stuff. Yeah.
But consulting was kind of like, that's your business, right?
That's right. Yeah. But it was still like a solopreneur.
Yeah.
You know, but yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But you got off the salary, the golden handcuffs, and you know, you went 3 years of just relying on yourself to find business, sell.
Yeah. And that was still a big gap of mine, was selling. Yeah. And then now I've got the community and doing the podcast and everything. But I was just thinking like, and envisioning my 80-year-old self And, like I've heard so much, and I still feel like I'm 22 in my mind. Like my mind still feels like I'm
How old
young.
are you now?
I'm 39.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's going to continue. I'm going to be 80 and I'm still going to feel like young Kassidy. Right.
Yep.
And I don't want my mind to be full of regret.
Yeah.
And like that I never even tried. And you start looking around and like you see what people have done and you realize like they just made the decision to do it. Like they just literally made the decision to do it. We've all got fears, some of us more or less than others. We've all got talent, some of us more or less than others. And you literally have to build yourself into this new version. Then that's what maximizing your potential is. It's also maximizing like who you actually are and becoming that person.
Yeah. And I think one thing you did a very good thing that maybe people missed, but you started to visualize, out in the future. You're like, hey, what did my 80-year-old self think of this, right? So in every risk I've ever taken, I've always analyzed what's the worst thing that could happen. And I remember when I first started real estate investing, I had to max out my credit cards for $50,000, get a hard money loan, buy a house. And I said, man, like, what's the worst thing that could happen? The worst case is it doesn't work. I just lose it all, $50K in debt. And I literally put myself in that position. Mm-hmm. I said, all right, I'm in this position now. What would I do? I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'd go bankrupt. Like, I don't know. I go, what would happen if I went bankrupt? Well, it'd get wiped out and like I'd be fine. I was like, okay. And then like, how would I make money? At that time, I was flipping couches still. I was like, yeah, I would just keep flipping couches. I don't need credit to flip couches. Like I would still just be fine. I'd rent a house. Like it wouldn't be a big deal. I was like, huh. So that's my worst case. All right. What's my best case? I was like, best case. I would have never dreamed my best case is what it is today.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking like that. I was like, yeah, I don't know. Best case, I make 6 figures. Like this could be crazy if like it makes 6 figures, maybe even multiple, like that was my mindset and, worked. And it helped me get over the hump. And, even now with starting new businesses, right? Like I'm a lot more discerned about what kind of businesses to start because now I've been through the ringer on ones that didn't work out. But like, I thought to myself, I'm like, what's the worst thing that happens if I fail or we lose money or this happens? Thoughts that come through my mind now are like, well, dude, like you've already had way more public failure than any of these things that you're thinking about starting and failing at. Like you already know what happens. I was like, oh yeah, like I've already, it's all good. And so it makes you like just putting yourself in the worst case scenario, like it'll actually help you not worry because you're like, yeah, that's really not that, like nobody's, unless you're dying from this endeavor, like nothing's really that bad.
It comes from a lack of trust in themselves, right? Because the worst case scenario, they have kids and they think they're going to lose the house and they see the imminent like crumbling of their life. That's what they see. That's what they envision. But like when I was in corporate, I was like, what's my worst case scenario? Oh, I'll go back and get my job, my same job or a different job.
Yeah. If this doesn't work, I'll come back.
And what does that mean? That means my worst case scenario is what I'm living in right now.
Yeah.
I'm literally in my worst case scenario.
Yep.
But I'm too afraid to take the leap or too like that mindset was like, holy shit. Like that really.
Yeah. That's how I thought about the couch flipping. I was like, yeah, I mean, I just go back to flipping couches. And I was like, so I already do that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, my worst case.
Exactly.
I didn't put it like that in my mind, but like, I was like, yeah, I would just do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So I have nothing to lose.
That's right. Exactly. I feel like I've noticed you've been more open about your faith.
Yeah.
And your relationship and you don't work on the weekends, right?
Yeah.
I think most entrepreneurs think that they have to live this 70, 80, 90 hour week or that's all that they've been living. Like, how have you been able to design this life where it doesn't just feel like chaos and you're working all the time and you've been able to make the money that you've been able to make?
I think it starts with living within your means, no matter where you're at. Like that's a skill in itself. And, like this whole working on the week or not working on the weekends thing, like wasn't like this thing I was ever trying to be known for. Once again, it just was. And, when I first started flipping couches, we didn't have kids or anything. And so like, I'm like, yeah, I just flip couches while I'm waiting for the baseball season to start. It's pretty easy and whatever else. And like, it's all good. And didn't really ever do anything on the weekend. Like it literally took me like 3 hours a day. It was nothing. And it made good money. Then I started flipping houses. And, once again, I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to flip houses. Like I'm not fixing up a house. I'm just going to find deals and whatever else. And like, I didn't have an office or anything else. So it's like, would I have been working on the weekends? Yeah. I mean, if somebody texts me and like whatever, then sure. But like, not really. Like Sundays, I never ever did anything. We always went to church and just hung out. And then when I finally, in my mind, got legit and got an office and staff and had to like put people accountable to hours and all this stuff, I always made it. I'm like, yeah, our hours back then were 10 to 5, Monday to Friday. They're like, why do we start at 10? I'm like, because I got to work out and stuff. So like 10's good. That was it. That was the reasoning.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to wake up an hour earlier. Like
I remember that. I remember you posting and talking about that. I was like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to be in at 8 o'clock if you're going to miss your workout.
Yeah. So I'm like, we'll just get in at 10. Everyone can get in at 10. And then one day I was like, this is kind of dumb. We should do 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Literally, I mean, this was like 7-8 years ago before social media and business. I was like, yeah, it's 10 to 5. We're going to flip a bunch of houses, make money. It's going to be great. And I always just hired people. And I think what got me in the right mindset initially was because I had to, because I was leaving 6 months a year to play baseball. And so the option was quit the business for 6 months, play, come back, start again, because I'm the guy who does everything. I was like, well, that's not going to work. I need money and I'm not going to quit baseball. So I literally started hiring people very quickly. Like, okay, I need contractors. Okay, I'm going to leave. I need somebody to go watch the houses and project manage and go look at deals when I'm out playing. And so I hired people to do that and it worked. And then by the time I retired, I just started hiring salespeople and different people. And I was like, yeah, cool. Because even my first 2 years, 2017, 2018, I actually coached high school baseball. Like I was pretty much done playing. I was like, yeah, you know what? I want to like coach because I'm bored. So I would leave the office every day at 1 o'clock. I worked 9 to 1 because I coached high school baseball every day because I just wanted to. And then I had kids and that made me even more not wanting to work the weekends because I want to be with them. And it's just been what it has been ever since. And I have no temptation to work the weekends. I don't want to. I'm not gonna. And basically, my point of view is that whatever I make, I make. I already make enough. Why would I need to work the weekends? Like I was talking to Tommy Mello.
Yeah.
And, he sold his company. He's a billionaire. And he's not even 40.
Yeah.
A1 Garage Door. He's a good buddy of mine. And him and I were talking about this backstage one day. He was speaking at WealthCon. And he's like, dude, I like what you're doing with the golf thing. So smart. I was like, coming from you, thank you. Yeah. And he goes, dude, I'm going to really start golfing more. I was like, why don't you just golf now? And he's like, well, I'm too busy. Like I got this. I go, Tommy, you're a billionaire. What do you mean? Like you should be able to just do whatever you want. You've already do what you want at this point in your life. You could do what you want way before that. I do what I want, and I ain't even anything close to that. And it kind of even hit him. He was like, yeah, it didn't even occur to me like that was even a choice because for him, like he's so focused on the target, which is why they're worth $1 billion. Yeah. And, so my mindset's clearly not got me there at his age. But he's like, that's interesting to think about because he's like, he was getting engaged and now he wants to go like relax and enjoy some of the fruits of his labor and all this stuff. I'm like, you could just do it now. And he's like, yeah, in my mind, I thought, once we hit these targets, then I'll do it. But every entrepreneur falls in that trap. It's never enough.
I think a lot of where it comes from is like a lot of us came from nothing.
Yeah.
And that's what you had to do in the beginning. And that like never leaves us. And then, it's the side hustle, solopreneur. That next hurdle is really challenging for people. But you did it because you had the baseball.
I had to.
And it's such a clear target of like, this is obviously so much more important because it's what I'm trying to do.
What I want to do.
But if entrepreneurs, solopreneurs just sat and said, what do I really want to be doing every single day? That makes decision-making a lot easier to say, oh, I get to delegate this stuff out. But then they're like, oh, I don't have enough money. Well, then you need to look at your business.
You need a better business. I tell people that all the time. They're like, I don't have margin. I go, well, your business sucks.
People, they don't think about that.
Yeah.
You don't have a good business if you can't afford to hire people.
Yeah, your business is terrible. So you have a job. Yeah. And what I tell people is, like even back to me, I only started a business so that I could do what I wanted. I just wanted to keep playing baseball. So I said, how can I do something that gives me what I want? All I want to do is play baseball. I'll flip couches. This is the only thing I could figure out that fits the hours I want to work so I can still practice and train and do the things I got to do and just go leave for 6 months. And so I flip couches and I'm making $8,000 a month flipping couches. And by the way, it's only for 6 months. So I made, $50K, and that was enough. I got to go play my dream, have enough, and I was good on $50K, right? Then, like I was saying, I had my first 6-figure year. I think I was 27 years old when I made 6 figures for the first time, So it's like my 20s, I didn't, make a ton of money. And my wife and I were like, literally, we are rich. We thought we were rich flipping couches. And so by the time I did that, I was like, this is insane. What are we going to do with all this money, babe? Literally. And so we were already rich. And I was like, we can do whatever we want. And so I did. Mm-hmm. We did whatever we wanted with like $200K of like what we wanted. And then I remember the first time I made $1 million. I was like, I don't even know what to do with, like, this is crazy. I don't know what to do. Like, I've officially made it again. And I'm going to still just do whatever I want. And literally, the amount of money we've made has changed all throughout the years. Lost money, made money, do these different things. But it's like, I still just want to do whatever I want. That's all I care about. The business fuels what I want, not the other way around. I don't find my purpose or my goals and all these stuff based on the business's success. As long as the business gives me what I want, that's all I care about. And what I want at this point in my life is to hang out with my family and kids, to talk about my faith and go serve people, to go play a lot of golf. And that's about it.
And that's great.
Yeah. As long as I can do that, I'm square.
And then at the same time, your businesses are providing a valuable service to people. They are helping people.
Yeah. And that's like, that part to me is like the given. It's like, you can't make money long-term with a bad business. You can make money short-term. Like, there's plenty of people who have had a bad business, and after just a while you get exposed and you cannot keep making money, right? The only reason that I've been able to continue to make money, even with business failure, is because we put out a good product. I tell this to people all the time. I'm like, people can say whatever they want about me or anyone else. If they're in business for a long period of time, it can't be fake. It cannot be. It's literally impossible to stay in business that long with terrible products.
So how do you know if you have a good product or not?
Typically people keep buying from you again. And so, like, even for me, what would happen is I started a lot of different businesses because people loved our product so much. They bought the next product and the next product and the next thing. The amount of people who cross by the different things I've ever started is massive. Nobody's doing that if you have crappy product, because they would only say, hey, you know what, dude, like, I really got value out of what I just got here. Let me go buy that. And what's crazy too is, even in the business failures, when people bought those and it didn't necessarily work out, there are still so many people that have bought things after that, even after it didn't work out, because they're like, look, I get it. Not everything works out the way you think. It is what it is, but I do respect how you handled the situation. Mm-hmm. Therefore, I'm going to keep rolling with you.
Yeah. And that's also a factor of you putting out content value and staying top of mind. Like, it works.
Yeah.
You pulled your kids out of public school.
Yeah.
Why did you pull your kids out of public school?
Well, I guess they were never in it. My oldest is now about to be 7. My daughter just turned 5. So my oldest has special needs. So he has autism. And really what ended up happening was my wife and I came out of the public school system here in Las Vegas. My wife was a public school teacher, actually, for 3-4 years in the inner cities, doing 8th grade English to a bunch of kids who didn't speak English. And so, like, we have a heart for schooling and everything else. I mean, my biggest business is teaching people how to do real estate. So, we've always enjoyed the element of teaching as a family. And what really changed my mindset was a couple of things. One was, I was always anti-homeschool and everything else, because I grew up just fine public. If I could grow up just fine, then, everyone else can too. Well, I didn't grow up with a famous dad who's got money and all this other stuff. So it's a little different situation. So I was like, okay, then we'll probably got to send our kids to private schools, just being higher profile. And I'm not even like that big, but just like more high profile than most. So then we start doing this. And I tell my wife one day, this was a couple of years ago, I go, honestly, we probably might want to homeschool. She's like, what? And two things collided to make this happen. One was, I actually don't know if I ever said this, but it was actually Cardone. Cardone was in my office, and him and I are buddies, and he's come a few times to my office. Once again, just social media. And he brought his daughter. And so we're all just hanging out. And he's like, yeah, she comes with me to all these different things, and it's awesome. And she's homeschooled and perfectly like great socially, smart, all the things. And I was like, yeah, I mean, if my path looks like it might be like his path, where we're traveling, we're doing all these things, I'm not going to like leave my kids in school. Like, this is just not going to work. And if we're going to go on these vacations and everything else, like, it's literally not going to work, not even in private school. And so that was the first thing I told my wife. I'm like, flexibility wise, we don't like people telling us what we got to do anyways. So like, homeschool solves that. And she's like, okay, that makes sense. The second part, actually there's three parts. The second part that happened was my son, like I said, who has special needs and autism, they would not even let him in private school because of his disabilities. And so we literally could not even find a school for him. And that did not make us happy because they would literally reject him. So that was number two. And then the third thing that happened was just all this woke bullcrap. So like, you're just seeing all this stuff and everything else. And you're like, all right, dude, I am definitely not having teachers, say all this crazy stuff to my kids and telling them they can go be a girl if they feel like it. And, all this stuff. Like, no, we ain't dealing with that. So anyways, long story short, all those factors played into it. So like, yeah, we're homeschooling. So anyways, it started in my house. And I hired a teacher, and they were going to do it just for us. And then, I mean, we got this teacher on salary, and we're just like, we might as well like bless these other families, and like, we could definitely, and we want our kids to be around other kids too, and like have social lives and all that stuff. And so we took some kids from our staff who wanted to do it, and our Bible studies and stuff like that. And so we had like 8 kids in my house every day. Well, 3 days a week. And so like my whole downstairs turned into a school. And so we experimented with it for like a few months. It was great. And then all these other kids wanted to join. Well, the parents, they're like, dude, do you have a spot? And I'm like, dude, my house is not going to have like 20 kids every day. Like,
sounds like a good business you can start.
I know. So then I looked at our office, and we have this whole training area for like 150 people. And I'm like, we literally don't use this at all unless there's like an event. And so I said, we could just clear it out and really go all in and turn some of the things into classrooms. And this middle area is like play area and all this stuff. And so we just did it. Now we have like 16 kids. It's going to expand. We're going to hire a third teacher and now have like 24.
Wait, so you literally created a school?
Not legally.
Not legally. Okay. It's home.
It's a homeschool co-op. It is not a school. Don't get it twisted.
It's not a school, but you converted a space and you're supporting your community.
Yeah. Yeah. And it loses money every month. But yeah, no, it's great. And the kids love it. It's awesome. I do think that will be something though in the future that will end up solving. Right now I think homeschool's on the rise, and obviously with the internet and everything else, kids can get plenty of social interaction without, like, it used to be, dude, the homeschool kid, freaking weirdo. This dude's never seen a person. Not the case today. Kids talk online, they do all this stuff. And it's like, well, now, I mean, we literally have 16 kids in there. I mean, it ain't no different than a normal school environment.
Yeah.
Except that I control who the kids are and the parents and who they're around. It's exactly what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I think what will end up happening is for the next couple of years, maybe sooner, we'll continue to perfect the model, and then we'll launch it out for other parents. And it'll be all part of our nonprofit. It won't be a business in that way.
Yeah.
It'll be a service for others.
Yeah. Amazing. And so how important is it to have the right circle of friends in your marriage?
Oh my gosh, it's so important. My wife talks about it all the time. She has we do a lot of stuff at our house now. I'm thinking about this. So she has a Bible study at her house every Thursday. There's literally like 25 girls that come over every Thursday night. I got 3 of my kids with me, in the room just while they're doing their thing. And they literally go like 4 or 5 hours just hanging, talking, praying, reading. Like they just, every Thursday night, we call it Bible party. It's not a Bible study. It's a Bible party. And, you know, she talks to the girls and different things. And a lot of the women are wives of my friends. And what's interesting is, you know, that I don't know who said it, but, you know, you're like the closest of the 5 people that you associate with, right? And it's true, right? You just start to think like they think, act like they act, you know, adopt their habits, their mannerisms, like you just do. That's what a culture is. I mean, when you really think about why do this type of people speak this kind of way? I mean, it's culture. When everyone speaks that way and everyone acts that's just what it is. That's the culture. So you have to create this culture. And so for me, we think like, what kind of culture do we want our kids to grow up in, our friends to be like, and all these things. And it's like so important. You know, I was at the golf course the other day, and the starter, the guy who sends you out, you know, he's just like a typical old guy. He don't know what I believe, but he's just like, yeah, you know, I'm out here away from the wife, and you know, it's great. I was retired. She was driving me crazy.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I got this job and it's awesome. And it's just, I get to be away from her for like 8 hours and, you know, whatever. Right. And he thinks he's being cool. And there's a lot of people who hang out with people like that. They trash their wives or their husbands and all this stuff. I literally like looked at him and I'm like, I actually like my wife, dude. I golf with my wife. Like I like her. So you know, I feel bad that you don't, but you know, hopefully your life gets better. And that was it. You know, like
I don't understand that mentality or that like, and I think some people, that's what they think is the right thing to say.
Yeah. They're trying to be cool.
They're trying to be cool or whatever, but
Yeah.
I love spending time with my wife.
Yeah.
Like 2 peas in a pod. Yeah. Do we get to go do things on our own and with our other friends?
Yeah, for sure.
Of course. Yeah. But like,
I don't like my wife that much where I'm with her 24/7. Okay. I love my wife.
yeah.
And she don't want to hang with me 24/7 either, but maybe like 18/7, you know? But anyways, like the other part too, you know, back to her Bible study and stuff. It's like women are worse than men about gossiping and everything else. It's just what it is. And so a lot of women like to complain about their husbands to women, and it just is a thing. And so she's constantly like reminding those girls, like, you know, the Bible tells us that the tongue can speak either life or death. And you choose. You're either uplifting your husband and your marriage and your kids and everything else, or you're speaking death over it the moment you know, start to complain about him, complain about your kids, talk about this stuff. Because like, you know, complaining and everything else can just creep in without you noticing.
Yeah. I think actually it's one of the things that can steal your happiness and steal your fulfillment is
For sure.
complaining. And people don't even know what complaints look like, but it's essentially, even if you're commenting or I'm not judging, I just noticed, I'm noticing, it's complaining.
The same stuff.
It's complaining. Yeah. What you focus on expands.
I was golfing yesterday by myself. I bring my son out on Sundays and we'll go just play however many holes we can get in. And I'm playing by myself, and I hit like a bad shot. I'm like, dang it, dude, that's stupid. Then I had another bad shot, and I literally like never cuss. I never cuss in public or any of these things. And I'm just like cussing myself out by myself. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm out on the golf course with my son at this prestigious course, enjoying a Sunday afternoon. And I'm over here telling myself how bad of a golfer I am because I hit 2 bad shots. And I was thinking, I'm like, how stupid is that? You know, somebody else would be watching me like, look at this guy's life. You know, he doesn't have to work on a Sunday. He's out at this beautiful course. He gets to take his son, got it all going. He's just cussing himself out because he hit 2 bad shots. Like, it's those types of things that you don't really catch yourself doing. And it makes you realize that you're just ungrateful for what you do have.
Yeah. I've learned, I think gratitude is a big unlock for having a fulfilled life and even just getting through whatever you're going through. If you're having a hard time growing your business or whatever it is, like having immense gratitude for whatever it is, the smallest things can literally bring you right back.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of looked at that too. Like, you know, when I was going through the storm we were talking about earlier, you know, people would be making videos and stuff and hating and whatever else. And, you know, one frame is like, oh, this isn't true. You know, screw this guy, blah, blah, blah. Let me respond back, whatever, right? I didn't do any of that. The other frame is twofold. wow, like I'm that big that people feel the need to like make videos about me. And, it's like, that's pretty cool that like, I'm worth talking about. And like lots of people are interested. Right. The other frame is that, man, like this person, for them to make such a hateful video, like what is going on in their life where like, that's what they feel. Like, I don't even know this person. They've never even bought anything from me. Yet they feel the need to hate and do all this stuff. And like, man, they got to be going through a lot.
Yeah. When you start doing something for yourself and you are consistent and you're serious about it, and then you start getting opinions or there's silence from friends and family, or like, you really start seeing that there are kind of two types of people, right?
Yeah.
It's a blanket statement, but like there are people that are willing to go to the ends of the earth for themselves and their families and like not worry about what other people think of them. And then there's everyone else that has an opinion or hasn't done what it takes to really fulfill their dreams or do what they want for themselves. And that can show up in hate or criticism or complaining or whatever. And it's just really interesting to see that come through. So,
Well, it makes sense when you really think about it logically. It's like if you're out doing a lot of things, you don't even have time to worry about what other people are doing. You're just like doing stuff.
they have a small life.
Yeah.
They have a
And
small
then
life.
other people, they have nothing going on.
Yeah.
So they just watch other people and, it's just what they do. It's like, obviously I came up as an athlete. Like I would watch every single game and all this stuff because you're watching these other people like go to battle and do their thing. And like, now I don't have time. I'm like, bro, I got like all these kids and like, I'll watch stuff in the background, but bro, I'm not watching every Laker game. I'm not watching every, this game. It's funny. Even my friend, my buddy, I'm not gonna say his name, but he got popped for real estate stuff and he just got indicted. And, him and I talk once a month. We've been talking since all this happened a couple of years ago. And I've just been encouraging him and, walking him through just drama and, different things. He's facing far worse things that I've ever had to face. We just had our most recent call. We do it on a Saturday morning once a month. And he goes, yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure you saw the news, but like this happened. I'm like, I actually didn't. Like, I'm like, what happened? And, he got sentenced and all this stuff. And I'm like, dang, like, I don't even know my friend because I'm just like not in the gossip. Like I have no idea what's happening in that world. I'm just like, oh, snap. So like, what was the result? And he's like, I got to go this and this. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, then figuring it out.
But yeah, I think that's a great point of like just being focused on your own business, your own life, your own family, like not complaining, having gratitude. Like these are really simple things that you can implement to just live a really fulfilled, happy, successful life.
Bro, everybody's got so many problems in their life. Like, I don't have time to worry about anyone else's problems.
Yeah.
Like I got all my own. And then but I guess, looking at other people's problems makes people feel less bad.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So Ryan, I can talk to you forever. This has been great. I have some rapid fire if you don't
All right,
mind
let's
going through the
hear
rapid
it.
fire.
Okay.
All right. Fastest way to make money in real estate.
Wholesaling. It's not even close. You got to go get a contract, get paid in 30 days. Like I love all the forms. I've done it all. Like I've done Airbnb, flipping houses, apartments. But yeah, wholesaling's easily the fastest.
Cash flow or appreciation?
Appreciation. I think cash flow is a myth. I've been on the cash flow is a myth bandwagon for a few years now. And like when I say it's a myth, clearly you can get it. Like there are people doing it. There are people finding untapped markets with Airbnb. There are people, doing co-living and section and, random things. But the reality is today, 80% of properties you look at will not cash flow and maybe more. If you're in a major market and you just try to rent the property, you will not cash flow. It will not work. So those dreams are dead of what people used to think was possible. Just buy a property and rent it out in your square. Like it doesn't work. But appreciation does work. And that's really where all your money's made anyway.
That's right. This is what I teach people. Like add up your cash flow, add up the appreciation and tell me which one you want more, right? Yeah.
It's not even close.
Yeah, not even close. Does manifesting work?
Depends how you define it. I am obviously not a believer in like the secret and law of attraction and these things. I think they're demonic. But I do think that visualization can help you plan and prep and, come up with a way to go do what you want to do for sure.
What's the worst business move you ever made?
Man, there's too many to count. If I was to like just say what the worst would be, it was in picking the wrong partners. Anytime you pick the wrong partner, it's bad news. It's like a divorce. You have to deal with so much fallout from it.
What's the 1 or 2 traits that like will immediately disqualify someone in being a partner?
I think today, for me anyways, at this point in my life, I have to have control no matter what. So I have to have the full decision-making ability no matter the percentages. So if somebody's like, no, we're equal, I ain't doing it. I don't care. Because stalemates and everything else are not good. So I would say control matters. Second one would be there has to be an equal exchange of value. So like what a lot of people do is they start a business together. Like, let's just be partners. And it's like, okay. And then down the road, you find out years later that somebody's providing significantly more value than the other. And so you end up with drama. Yeah. So I think you got to really look at objectively the value being brought to the table.
What's the best business move you've ever made?
Social media. It's not even close. I mean, hopefully golf will end up being the one, and that'll be the super cool one. But yeah, I mean, social media's allowed golf to be what it is, and real estate and everything. It's not even close.
What's your favorite Bible verse?
Man, I have so many. The verse I always grew up on was Galatians 6:9, and I still like it today for pretty much any situation. But basically, it's let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. And I think that I've been weary many times. But Paul says, don't be weary in doing good. Like at the proper time, you will reap. And it could be here on earth, it could be when we're dead, but either way, you'll get a harvest for the work.
Owning real estate or owning a business?
Dude, this is the big mind shift for me. Obviously, I'm known as a real estate guy. But the truth of the matter is owning a business is far more valuable. So, I mean, really what I teach people now is like, hey, you know what? It's like great to own rental properties and stuff. And look, I do think everyone's situation is different. If you're a corporate America guy, you don't want to own a business, you don't want to deal with this stuff. All right, go buy rentals, work your job. It's all good. But if you want to make as much money as fast as possible and everything else, owning a business, hands down, will make you significantly more, way quicker. It's not even close.
Yeah. And it's valued based off of the cash flow. So
yeah.
Lifting weights or cardio?
Bro, I don't do no cardio. All I've ever done is lift weights.
Yeah.
I just started doing like 15 minutes of incline walk on the treadmill. That's the extent of my cardio.
Yeah. And you golf and you're flexible and like you don't get injured. And
I learned this from Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, friend of mine. She's been on the podcast. She said, the healthiest people in the world aren't like the marathon runners and all this stuff. The number one thing that makes you healthy is muscle. And I was like, that makes sense. And she's like, even when you get older, the reason people break hips and all this stuff is because they're not muscle. I was like, that makes perfect sense. So yeah, muscle.
When I switched to lifting and heavy and like build, like with a focus on building, all of my health, like any health issues I had kind of went away. Yeah. Like my life has drastically improved, my mind, my health, everything health-wise has improved on the backside of just lifting heavy weights.
Yeah, I mean, in baseball, we don't do cardio, at least position players, because it's pointless. We play a sport that doesn't require cardio. Yeah. Like we hit a ball, and we stand in the same spot all day waiting for the ball. And so I never grew up on cardio. And then when I retired, I just kept lifting heavy weights because we train for one explosive action at a time. And I feel great.
How much have you invested in coaches and mentors?
Oh, hundreds of thousands. All types of things. I mean, like, I got a golf coach right now. I've got health coaches. I hired, last year, I hired Tony Robbins' events person because I wanted to learn how they throw events, and that was 6 figures. Hired sales coaches, marketing people. Like, I don't even know the number.
Sounds like
it's a lot.
Millions.
I wouldn't say it's millions. You know what I will say? This is another one too. Like, in terms of value, I've been given by people for sure millions. But like the podcast, for example, back to why social is the best investment. Like, what would it cost to be coached by any of these guys one-on-one, right? And to have their number and to be able to ask them a question that's, very specific to your business. And it's like, it's a lot, right? And only because of social media, I got to meet all these guys. And like, good example, I had Russell Brunson at my office a year ago. And he literally flew down himself to hang with me. And we just spent 9 hours together. And he's like, I want to learn how you do social. I'm like, great. I want to learn literally everything else that you know.
Yeah.
And we literally just sat there and I go, what would Russell charge for that? I mean, he runs a hundreds of $1 million company. And then same thing, Grant came to my office. When Hormozy was coming up, him and Layla came to my office. Then they spoke at my event for free and all these things. Dan Martell, been in my office multiple times. Like, if I was to go hire all of them because I have no presence, it would have cost me, I don't even know.
That's pretty wild, actually. Because that's the goal too, is like I have a studio back in Seattle. It's hard to get people to come out to Seattle, number one.
Yeah, Vegas is easier.
Yeah, Vegas is easier. But to have the recognition, the brand presence.
They come to you.
They come to me, yeah. And in like a really like collaborative way, not like.
Yeah, they're not
no
bro,
ego.
I can't wait to freaking go collab with Ryan. No, it's like, they're already in Vegas anyways. It's like, okay, cool, we'll go stop by and see Ryan. So.
All right. Does God want you to be broke?
No. I think the poverty gospel, a lot of people think about the prosperity gospel, and also like they're both two ends of the spectrum that aren't necessarily true. The truth is once again somewhere in between, but no, I mean, you just constantly read the Bible and it's like God's people prosper. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean everyone gets rich? No. Does it mean you'll never get sick or anything? No. But this idea that somehow being broke is like you're holier than somebody else is just so false. I mean, I could go on and on about it.
Well, Ryan, thanks, dude. This has been incredible. Appreciate it. Where can everyone get a hold of you, find you, all that?
Yeah, I mean, you can go to Ryan Pineda on any of the socials and go hit me up.
That's right. Thank you for being here, bro.
Thanks for having me.